You are now listening to
Chakras and Shotguns. Welcome to Chakras and Shotguns, the podcast that guides you on a journey of spiritual development and personal preparedness. I'm Jen, a former lawyer, yogi, and human design lover.
And I'm Mik, a marketer, energy healer, and prepper.
I'm sure you've heard of affirmations before. You might even do them regularly, and if you're parents like us, you might even have your kids do them too. But what are affirmations really? How do they work? And why should we do them? Today, we're getting into the ins and outs of affirmations and how it's more than just saying nice things to yourself in the mirror.
But before we get into that, we do want to remind you all that you can support our show by becoming a patron on Patreon. We offer amazing perks, bonus content, and even monthly sessions with either Jen or me. So check out patreon.com/chakras and shotguns for all of those great things.
All right, you ready to get into some breath work?
Let's do it.
So the theme for today's breath work, I'm feeling like we need to have more trust in ourselves. Mik and I were having a conversation about external validation and how we often look to others or data points or achievements to feel like we're doing good or we're keeping track or we're accomplishing what we want to accomplish. And really, that power is within. So that is the theme of today's breath work. So if you can find a comfortable seat, you can always lie down. Let's begin. If you can, put one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. I find that this is really grounding and really helps me connect with my body a little deeper and focus and turn down all of the noise that's in my mind. Taking a deep breath in through your nose, expanding your belly, pushing against your hand, holding that breath at the top. And let's sigh that breath out through your mouth, completely emptying your body of anything that's stale, negative, dense, that doesn't serve you. Let's do that again. Inhale in through your nose, feeling yourself expand. If you're sitting, maybe feeling yourself sit a little bit taller, rolling your shoulders up to your ears and then down your back. And then let's exhale that breath out through your mouth. Maybe you let yourself round your shoulders as you completely exhale all of that air. Last one together, inhaling in through your nose. Maybe rolling out your neck, wiggling your toes. And for this last breath together, sealing your lips as we exhale through our nose. Now that we are more aware of our breath and we're breathing normally, I'd like for you to just settle into this body. Maybe move your hand right to the bottom of your rib cage where your solar plexus lives, which houses your confidence and your creativity. And let yourself feel gratitude for this body, this experience, for the power that you have within. Appreciating your instinct, your intuition, your self-reliance, your bravery, your courage. Even if you think that maybe you haven't been so courageous lately, Showing up is courage. Being present is being reliant on yourself, and trusting that inner power within. Maybe allowing yourself to quietly smile and just send some loving energy within for this body that sees you through each day. We're going to finish the breath work with an affirmation. You can repeat it after me. You can say it silently in your head, whichever is more comfortable for you. I trust myself wholeheartedly. All right.
Thanks, Jenn. Another great breath work. So let's get into it. What is an affirmation? Going to the all-knowing Wikipedia. Going there, we see that affirmations are a practice of positive thinking and self-empowerment, fostering a belief that a positive mental attitude supported by affirmations will achieve success in anything. Now, we typically see this practice being done in the mirror, or you're telling yourself these affirmations while looking at yourself. And they're typically short sentences that begin with I am. So think, I am enough. I am brave. I am powerful.
Yeah, a lot of parents have also started implementing this practice with their children. We definitely did with our oldest, who is now 4, and we probably should get around to starting with our youngest at age 2 as well. And don't get me wrong, we affirm our own children, but it's also the practice of them knowing it for themselves and them telling themselves this. I think I approached it as a self-esteem thing, that I wanted to lay a foundation with my child and now my children that they're incredible before they go into a world that may falsely tell them that they're not. For instance, my mother, I'm a milk chocolate queen, okay? And so my mother growing up always told me how beautiful my skin was, that she would have loved to have skin like mine. And she's slightly lighter skinned than I am. So I grew up thinking that I was just like the bee's knees when it came to my skin tone. And I was lucky enough to grow up where colorism wasn't much of a thing with my peers. It was more of a descriptor, like, light skin Brittany, like, versus a value being attached to it. And it wasn't until I was in my sophomore year of college that I had friends saying things like, oh no, I have dark skinned friends. Like, Jen's my dark skinned friend. And I was like, what's that supposed to mean? I never talked about how many light-skinned friends I had. I thought that was very strange. There was a football player who is currently in the NFL who said I was smart for a dark-skinned girl, which I also was kind of like, that's not really how that stereotype generally works. So how many concussions have you had? But that's neither here nor there. And for half a second, it rattled me a little bit. I was like, oh, am I not attractive? But I had 19, 20 years of being told how beautiful I was, of not experiencing that at all in my formative years, like middle school or high school. And so I think I might have doubted like my worth as a darker skinned woman for like 2 weeks. And it very quickly went away. And so I always stuck to that because there were so many conversations about colorism going on. And I was seeing this with other dark-skinned women who did not have the same experiences I had. And I was like, like, how can I replicate that for my children? So that was my approach to affirmations. What was yours? Why did you believe that you were doing these things or why we needed to do them with our children?
So I think it's pretty much right in line with what you're saying. I think for me, I saw this video of this dad who had his daughter in the mirror and was saying these affirmations, and it was like viral on social media. This was like a few years ago, might have been even before our oldest was born. And I remember just kind of putting that in my like mental Rolodex of like, I'm going to come back to that. Something I definitely want to do when we have children. And then knowing that we were having a daughter, definitely want to double down on that, right? Like I just, growing up, I know how kids can be. I know the things that people can try to make fun of, make fun of you about, or, tell you things about your features or your skin tone that could cause you to have some sort of complex about yourself. And so I just wanted to give my kids some armor every morning and, give them that tool they can use to kind of combat some of that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, with a 4.5-year-old, we've already run into that at school. We don't believe that it was racist. It was like a fellow child. We think it was more of a pattern thing.
Yeah.
But, our daughter for a second kind of questioned her value and her worth as a dark brown girl. But we very quickly were able to say, well, what do we say about your skin? And she was like, I'm gorgeous. I'm beautiful. And it was like, okay. And she was like, yeah.
And she was able to shrug it off,
Yeah. So going back to our preconceived notions about affirmations, I don't think we were off base with that at all. But for today, we really wanted to dig more into the spiritual, philosophical, and scientific approaches to affirmations. And we think it's going to give you a deeper understanding of why you absolutely need to incorporate them into your daily routine.
All right, so first up, let's talk spiritual. We talked a lot about the law of attraction before in episode 29. We talked about manifestation. And if you're somewhat familiar with the law of attraction, it's all about getting what you want and what you desire. We want to add some nuance to that idea, though. There is a belief that you need to change your vibration to attract the things that you want. And we want to challenge that. It's less about changing your vibration and more about changing your limiting beliefs so that you can embody what you want to become.
Yeah, it's your fears and limitations that you put on the possibilities for yourself that are actually preventing you from attracting what you want. That is what's blocking your vibration from matching the frequency of what you want. We hear a lot of talk about matching the frequency of a new love or a new house or a new job, but it's really about clearing out that fear and those limiting beliefs. So it's basically the spiritual version of dressing for the job that you want, not the job that you have. And when you embody the life that you desire, if you truly do it, you're not sitting in the same fears. So I am finally finishing my short-term rental, like doing the decor and getting curtains hung up and putting dishes on the shelves and all that jazz. And so I had a living room delivery. And at this point, the renovation has gone beyond the budget. And I'm having to furnish this house from top to bottom. And I'm tired of spending money. It just is what it is. I'm feeling the squeeze. We're both in this entrepreneur life. And so when I was doing this order, they gave me the option of they could bring the furniture inside the room, or they could put it together and take all the stuff out. And it was like maybe like a $50 to $100 difference. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna save. Just put it in the room. I got it. They had a whole sofa size box with this full size sofa in it. And I was by myself, 5'4", wrangling this box with this sofa and this rug and these two chairs, like putting this shit together. And then I had this box that was like twice my freaking height that I was wrangling, trying to break apart. Like, I'm in yoga teacher training. Like, my body is really important right now. I mean, my body is important in general, but I'm doing a ton of yoga and I can't like throw out my back trying to do this. And so I was really thinking about it. And I was like, Jennifer, what do you desire? What do you want? And I'm a boss. I'm a real estate entrepreneur and investor. I'm successful. I make prudent business decisions. that was not a prudent business decision. So my fear of spending too much money, and I've spent too much money and I shouldn't spend anything else, I was instead trading my time for like $50. Like I spent probably 2-3 hours doing that on my own with the potential of like really hurting myself. Like that was not smart. So if I'm trying to embody being a boss, I have to make boss-like decisions. I'm not going to be scared about making a choice, because a CEO wouldn't be scared about making a choice. And I'm the CEO of my life right now.
So yeah, that's definitely from a business and money perspective, right? I think you can say the same thing about love. So let's say you're wanting to invite in a healthy and flourishing relationship. What are some things that you are trying to embody to like really attract that? You're probably not going to do things like accept the bare minimum from your dates. You're probably not going to forget to, enforce your boundaries or compromise on your morals and personal beliefs. So what does all this have to do with affirmations? Affirmations are going to be the sentences that you tell yourself and that you believe wholeheartedly about yourself, especially when you come up on these times of doubt.
So that might look like, I'm a successful entrepreneur that cannot fail. My business is abundant. Opportunity for success flows to me easily. And when I wholeheartedly believe that, I'm not trying to save $20. I'm making prudent business decisions because I'm already going to do that anyway, because that's who I am. Same with love affirmations. I am worthy of deep, vulnerable, abundant, and sensual love with mutual respect. I am beautiful inside and out. I am safe when I am vulnerable. When I believe that, I'm not hiding parts of myself because it's scary to be seen. I'm courageous in my love, right? I'm not attempting to be perfect to be loved. There's something really powerful in that. I would also challenge you, if when you listen to those affirmations, they made you feel uncomfortable, that you explore that you journal about that you meditate on that. Because I even felt a little bit of that, right? Saying like, I cannot fail. And it's like, well, you could, but no, I can't. I won't. Why do you think that? Why is that a possibility for you? You're being realistic? Or maybe you're not being audacious enough.
Okay. So that kind of covers the spiritual approach to affirmations. I want to get into more of the philosophical side of things. So we kind of somewhat touched on this at the top of the episode. Our initial thoughts on affirmations, they weren't really far from this philosophical approach. And I think in particular, there's a philosophical approach that is outlined in a book that Jen and I both love, which is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. In that book, The 4 Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about the things that we agree to, and his belief that that's the only way for us to actually store information is through these agreements. In the book, he points to how we especially see this with children and how they believe pretty much everything adults say. It's, not shocking that when we're trying to heal and correct old patterns and beliefs in traditional therapy, we go all the way back to our childhood and think about some of these agreements. There usually are things that we've adopted as truth that we saw or were told by our parents or some other adults, and we just concretely believe them. And, while people can tell us things that we shouldn't believe, Don Miguel Ruiz points to how we talk to ourselves and how those are the most important agreements and belief systems that we can have. We talked in the past on the show a lot about negative self-talk, but when you think about it, the language that we allow when talking to ourselves means that you've agreed to it, right? It's an agreement that you're making with yourself. And you believe these agreements. So what have you been saying? What are you agreeing to? Because now, according to Miguel Ruiz, you believe those things unconditionally.
Like think of, I really try not to do this. I have done it in the past. I've heard other people do it when they might make a mistake. They're like, you're so stupid. That was so dumb. And you think it's flippant, but you saying it, if you didn't agree to it, you wouldn't have said it. And so just being careful of what your belief system looks like when you're talking to yourself. I think we also talk about, would you be friends with the person that you hear in your head? But that kind of gets you out of a little bit of ownership. Like, I think it feels a lot heavier to say, you say these things and you don't mean them, but the fact that you said it meant that you agreed to it. And how can we start to combat that? So this is where affirmations come into play and can undo some of that nasty work. And in the 4 agreements, he writes, if we can see it is our agreements that rule our own life, and we don't like the dream of our life, we need to change the agreements. So when you give yourself permission to believe the affirmations in an affirmation practice, your belief system changes. So then what you're capable of changes.
All right. So we've talked about the spiritual approach and the philosophical approach. Let's get into some of the science behind affirmations. So for this, we'll go into the study of epigenetics, which is the study of how your behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. So there's this book we've brought up a few times on the show. Jen is a big fan. It is called The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. He is a cell biologist, and he explores how biochemical effects of the brain's functioning show that all the cells of your body are affected by your thoughts. So per Dr. Lipton, the mind's energy directly influences how the physical brain controls the body's physiology. So let's just kind of take a step back and process what that means. Basically, your thoughts, which have energy, can activate or inhibit the cells in your body and their ability to produce proteins. So yeah, that's wild to even think about it. Like, what's going on in that little voice in your head can actually affect the physical functioning of our cells.
Are you shutting it down, or are you allowing your cells to thrive? We already know that stress can have very real impacts on the body. So is it completely unbelievable that our thoughts can also have an impact? I don't think so. Like, if you're stressed, you're going to get an ulcer. Or, you know, do we think the things that you tell yourself aren't going to create issues in your body? Dr. Lipton goes on to say that you really need to have an impact on your subconscious, though, to see the results. And when I read that, I was just like, oh, well, hang it up. Like, how am I supposed to get over there? Because your conscious mind is actually only running the show about 5% of the time. So just like think about like how people don't sleep and we just be up all night, all day, working, driving, parenting, cleaning, doing all the things. And that's 5%. Like, you're like, I'm asleep. My conscious mind is asleep. Your subconscious is going. The programs acquired by the subconscious mind shape 95% or more of our life experiences. And guess what? The bulk of that subconscious was acquired before we were 6 years old. Fantastic. All that work that you're undoing, all that inner child work and all the things that you're unlearning from something some crazy person at your church said when you were 3, you know, not speaking from experience, whatever. That's in your subconscious, and that's what you have to reprogram.
Yeah, speaking of Bible stuff, my mind did jump a little bit to my metaphysical Bible study class that I mentioned a few times. I think last time we talked about Kundalini and talked about the mountains and how in the Bible the mountains represent going up in consciousness. Well, another allegory that shows up is planting seeds. And planting seeds is actually about putting thoughts into your subconscious mind. So when you see that show up in the Bible, that's actually what you're meant to take away from it.
That makes me think of you reap what you sow.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So anyway, let's talk back about Dr. Lipton. We're supposed to be talking about the scientific approach to affirmation. So let me not take us off track.
That was supposed to go in the spiritual approach.
I know, my bad. I just thought about it right here because I was thinking about Lipton and subconscious mind.
Now I'm thinking about Lipton tea.
So how can we combat that stale subconscious mind that's been formed since way back when, right? Well, way back when for some, my boost, she's still young. So
I know, that was only like 12 years ago for me.
Dr. Lipton talks about that we can actually quickly rewrite some of that subconscious programming using techniques like hypnotherapy, body-centered therapy, energy psychology, which I don't quite know what that means. But he also talks about affirmations. And I know what that is. So with affirmations, we're literally drilling positive things into our subconscious. So now at that point, when you're doing that, you're able to alter your body on a cellular level. So I think that really just kind of brings home that point, right, of affirmations being something that can really work for you.
Yeah. Now, one thing that Dr. Lipton does say is that he does not advocate for just positively thinking yourself out of any illness. And we wholeheartedly agree. With our own care and our kids' care, we definitely start off homeopathic, but we believe that Western medicine has its place too. And holistic to us doesn't just mean the crunchy approach and just put a potato in your sock and rub some essential oils on it. The definition of holistic is the belief that the parts of something are interconnected and can be explained only by reference to the whole. So, in other words, we can pull on a lot of different therapies and methodologies and approaches, Western, Eastern, spiritual, Reiki. We talk about it all. So, everything has its place. I think sometimes people lean towards it's one or the other. Like, I'll never take another pharmaceutical product ever again. And like, am I going to reach for Tylenol first? Probably not. But some things you need, you know? But what we will say is affirmations, everything has its place. And so affirmations are something that you should definitely really, really practice. This is more than just, I have low self-esteem, or I'm insecure about certain things, or I want to believe certain things about money and success, or I want to invite love. Like, you're affecting your physical body. You're changing your subconscious. You are working on your belief system and inviting in and getting rid of the blocks to what you desire. Like, if those aren't reasons to start an affirmations practice, I don't know why you're listening. Like,
yeah,
we've given you the reasons.
So bottom line, guys, get to practicing your affirmations. Write them down on some note cards. I got note cards and sticky notes all over the house where I got my affirmations posted up. I got them on my phone, home screen. Just give myself a minute in traffic if somebody really pissing me off. And, I just got to tell myself, I am peace. I don't need to be worried about this joker that's jumping in front of me. But, get to practicing your affirmations. Remove those limitations and blocks. Create this belief system that is based on love and not on fear. And you can really start improving your body on a cellular level. It's not just mumbo jumbo woo stuff.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is joker a Houston colloquialism?
It might be.
Okay. I was just wondering. I always like the term local joker. That always made me chuckle.
It might be. I don't know. If you say joker and you're not from Houston, hit us up.
If you're looking for some great affirmations, we've shared some in the past on our Instagram page. So follow us there at Chakras and Shotguns. As bonus content, we will be doing a very special affirmations breath work that you can listen to, fall asleep to, absorb. So that will be on our Patreon page. A quick freebie, because I ain't no Robin Dixon. If you know, you know. I am extremely lucky and everything amazing happens to me. This is something I mumble to myself, especially when I'm feeling a little stressed or overwhelmed or something's not quite working out the way that I want it to.
All right, before we go, Jen mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. We want to remind you guys to check out our Patreon page. Lots of great perks and bonus content that you will be able to access if you become a patron. So check out patreon.com/chakras and shotguns.
And finally, if you're loving the show, because we know you are, please subscribe and give us 5 stars wherever you listen.
Namaste.